There is a very famous Chinese ancient curse which states, "May you live in interesting times." And trust me when I say this, the developments that have been happening in the context of education is no less interesting in the context of union versus the state relations. In the recent times, that is in the last couple of days itself, two developments have taken place in two southern states of India, which no doubt is going to raise a lot of frictions between the union as well as the states now. The two developments are: one, the state government of Karnataka earlier had set up a committee headed by Mr. Thorat. This committee has given a set of recommendations. Very important recommendation is that the state government should move away, should not be implementing a three language policy, rather should be implementing a two language policy. In addition to this, the committee also has recommended that the state government should move away from the NCRT based curriculum. Instead, it should develop its own state required curriculum. In addition to this, its neighbor, that is the state of Tamil Nadu, another very interesting development has taken place again related to education. The state of Tamil Nadu very recently has announced its own state education policy 2025, the provisions of which are different compared to the national education policy announced by the government in 2020. Let's have a look at the important points around the debate associated with the education sector. Hello and welcome to Unacademy IAS, a one-stop destination for all the English medium civil services aspirants. Before I start with the discussion, I have a very important announcement to make. I know a lot of you are preparing for the Civil Services Examination 26 and 27. Just ensure that you have a comprehensive coverage of the static portion, important current affairs updates, you have a very good reading material, and quality focused prelims as well as mains test series. If you enroll into our courses, all of this is available at the lowest price now, that is at 17,999. And this offer is going to end on 14th August. Once you use the code IAS English, you will also get an extension of up to 12 months free of cost. Those who want to enroll with us, study with us, do check out the details by clicking on the link provided in the description below. Let me start the discussion now. One very important factual information that you need to remember regarding the subject of education is that till 1976, education was part of the state list. But with 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act, this was shifted from the state list to the concurrent list. And what is the importance of this particular factual information? Now, on the subject of education, the union government as well as the state governments have the power to make policies. The second very important point, coming to the crux of the debate now. Union government back in 2020 announced National Education Policy. No doubt, many of the provisions of the National Education Policy are reformative in nature. They are going to change how education is taught, provided, and how knowledge is learned by the students in India. For example, under NEP, there is a focus on promoting digital literacy. There is a focus on standardization for various exams, etc. But with the announcement of the National Education Policy, multiple states raised concerns regarding certain provisions under the policy. The states such as Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka, West Bengal, and the state of Punjab raised certain concerns. For example, under this policy, they basically stated that policy is more tilted towards the union government. That is, it will lead to more of powers related to the union government. The states would be losing their powers to make policies in the sphere of education. In addition to this, some of the states raised concerns regarding the additional expenditure they will have to incur under the NEP 2020. But one point of contention which has led to multiple states looking at their own state policies, that is the state education policy, is the three languages which are being promoted or should be taught under the NEP 2020. It was seen as multiple states looked at this as a attempt by the union government to impose Hindi on these particular states. As a result of this, The state of Karnataka has gone forward, set up its own committee to give recommendations regarding the state education policy. The state of Tamil Nadu earlier had set up the Justice Murugesan Committee. And based on the recommendation of Justice Murugesan Committee, now the state of Tamil Nadu has announced the State Education Policy 2025. Let's try and understand what are the important provisions of this State Education Policy 2025. How are they different compared to the Union government's National Education Policy 2020? The point number one, very important point, under this particular concept of the State Education Policy, it recommends a two-language policy. Please remember this. The state as well as national education policy. So under the state education policy of Tamil Nadu government, it recommends a two-language policy. That is basically one will be the mother tongue and second one will be English. These two languages will be taught. Whereas in case of national education policy, like I said earlier, the focus is on three-language policy. And there's a particular reason why the union is insisting on three languages. The union government simply says, in addition to mother tongue as well as, let's say, the English, there should be one more language which must be taught to the students, which might help them whenever they move from one region of India to another region of India. This is one of the very important changes. Second very important policy is, in case of the state education policy of Tamil Nadu government, it has recommended to do away with multiple assessments. Now, what do you mean by multiple assessments? Listen to me very carefully. All of you, and even me by the way, we have written board exams. In our high school as well as in the college, we wrote board exams for the standard 10th as well as standard 12th. In the state of Tamil Nadu, as of now, for the standard 10th, there is a public exam. For 11th, there is a public exam, as well as for the 12th class, there is a public exam. Now, what the National Education Policy recommended was, we should have multiple assessments at multiple levels, which will be used to assess the quality of the students' learning. And the National Education Policy has recommended assessments at the level of 3rd class, 5th class, as well as 8th class. But the state of Tamil Nadu simply says, when you conduct multiple assessments at multiple levels like this, repeatedly when you keep on conducting assessments, that is conduct public examination, this will put a lot of burden on the students. This will put a lot of pressure on the students. And that is the precise reason now the state of Tamil Nadu simply states, one, we are not going to conduct the public exams for the 11th class students, which was done earlier in the state, we will discontinue it. In addition to that, whatever is the recommendation under NEP to conduct assessments at the 3rd, 5th as well as the 8th standard, this will also not be implemented. It will not be adopted by the state of Tamil Nadu. The assessments, that is the public exams, will be held for the 10th class as well as the 12th class students. Next, under the concept of national education, there is recommendation of nationalization or standardization. What do you mean by nationalization or standardization? Whenever you want to enroll into, let's say, undergraduate courses or postgraduate courses, there should be one test conducted for whole of India. One national test conducted for the whole of India. For example, since 2013, there is an exam which is being conducted by the name of NEET. And the state of Tamil Nadu has been vehemently opposing the policy to conduct NEET examination. The argument of the state government is that whenever you standardize these kind of exams, lot of students who are learning in, let's say, the mother tongue, lot of students who belong to the rural regions of India, etc., they will be at a disadvantage. And more importantly, the argument also is that when you promote the standardized entrance examination like this, are we not promoting coaching cultures in India? And citing this only, the state vehemently has been opposed to the idea of a standardization or national level test like this. So under NEP, there is a focus on standardization. There is a focus on standardization. And whereas in case of the state education policy, it is opposed to the idea of a standardization. In fact, for undergraduation, have a look at this. For undergraduation, as against the national education policy, the state policy of the Tamil Nadu government simply states, We should not be conducting national test. We should not be conducting one test to evaluate the performance of the students and give a merit and allow them to get enrolled. Rather than this, whatever is their marks in the 11th class as well as the 12th class, we should take these particular marks. Overall calculation should be done, and based on this, whether the student wants to get enrolled into, let's say, the arts or the right, let's say, science, etc. courses, this should be the parameter which should be used to allow them to enroll. Based on this, enrollments should be provided. In addition to this, one more very important point of difference between the national education policy as well as the state education policy is that in NEP, there is a basic focus on the idea of keeping the NEP under the concurrent list. There is emphasis on this. Whereas the state education policy 2025 of Tamil Nadu government simply states that no, we should not keep it in the concurrent list. Rather, let's revert back to the earlier situation. That is the situation before 1976 in India. Let's provide autonomy to the states. Let the states decide what kind of education policy they want to implement. And this SEP, State Education Policy 2025, prescribes that the education as a subject should be shifted back to the state list. It should be shifted back to the state list. So these are predominant differences between the features or the provisions of the SCP 2025 of the state of Tamil Nadu and the NEP National Education Policy 2020 of the Union Government. Now, a lot of you will be having this kind of a doubt. Which policy is good? What should be ultimately be implemented in India? Please understand whether we adopt SCP by, let's say, the state of Tamil Nadu or the state of Karnataka, or for that matter, the West Bengal SCP, or we adopt uniformly the National Education Policy of 2020, it all depends on what are we trying to achieve at the end of the day. Is the goal to have a nationalization? Is the goal to have more flexibility? Because in case of NEP, there are multiple entries as well as the exits allowed. So is the goal standardization? If the goal is nationalization, if the goal is centralization of all these policies, if the goal is to promote, right, let's say, long-term view, then no doubt the National Education Policy 2020 is better. Whereas if the goal is to basically protect cultural identities or regional identities, if the goal is to protect, let's say, people or the students from regional background or rural background, if the goal is to ensure that the state's autonomy should be protected, then no doubt individual state policies will always fare better compared to a national education policy which is going to take away the autonomy of the states. According to you people, what should be done? Should we have a standardization, a national policy, or should we have the state education policy to meet the requirements of individual states? Do let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. So this is basically what I wanted to discuss in the context of the state education policy announced by the state government. If you like this initiative, do not forget to hit the like button. If you're yet to subscribe to our YouTube channel, kindly do it right now. Thank you. Have a great day.